Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about fractional exponents and basically all the rules, the exponent laws apply to fractional exponents. It's just that the exponent now, instead of being an integer, whole number, now it's a fraction. So let's look at, for example, if I give you 3 to the power of a half times 3 to the power of a half. Well, let's simplify that. Well, we got the same basis, 3, so we're going to put 3 down, and we're going to add the exponent. And exponent, the two exponents are 1/2 plus 1/2. And what is a half plus a half? That's just 1. All right? So that's exactly what that is. All the rules apply. Now, if you recall, if you have a square root of 3 times the square root of 3, what would that be? That is the square root of 3 times 3, that's 9, that goes under the radical, that's the radicand, and the square root of 9 is 3. And if you look, you notice that both of them, they got 3. So that means that 3 to the power of a half must equal to square root of 3. All right? So here is the first law. Okay, the first law is, as actually the only law that fractional exponent is, that if you have x to the power of m divided by n, so that's a fraction, m divided by n, where n, and I do have to write it down, n cannot be 0, okay, and that is actually equals to, so let me change these different color. Yeah, so let's do m black, n is red. So m divided by n. The n is the root, x is the radicand, and m is the exponent. Okay, which is equivalent to, another way of writing it is, this is so we'll have the nth as a root, and this, in this case, we can put the m outside. So all three of these are actually equivalent to each other. All right, so that is the integral fractional exponent kind of relationship that you have to remember, and every time you can switch back and forth between the two. So let me give you an example. If I ask the fifth root of 2, can you change that to the exponential form? That would be 2 to the power of, so this is the 1, has a 1 exponent, so 1 goes on top, and then 5 is the denominator, so it will be 2 to the power of 1/5. All right, so next one, what if I give you 2 to the power of 4/7? Okay, change that to the radical form, and that would be 2 inside the radical, the 7 becomes the root, and the 4 is the inside. Now you could simplify that more. That would be the 7th root of 2 to the 4th is 16. All right, look at another example, 3 to the power of negative 1/5. All right, so the very first thing you have to do, you have to take care of the negative. Okay, so the negative exponent, so that means right away you have to do the reciprocal, use the negative exponent law, right? So that would be 3 to the power of 1/5. That's the first thing you have to do. Then you change the denominator into the radical. So it would be 1 over, and now you go through the process. 3 in there, 5 is there, and 1 is here. All right, on top of 3. So 5 is the root, and 1 is the exponent of 3. Let it, and then we're going to let it be just like that. So now let's look at some harder questions. Let's suppose I give you this and say, simplify. square root of a square root of x. All right, so you have to go through it and change that into the exponential. So the first thing first, you either start from inside out or outside in. It doesn't really matter. So let's deal with the inside out. So I'm going to change the inside. So outside is the square root. The inside the bracket, that becomes x to the power of 1 over 2, because there's a 2 in there, there's a 1 on top of x. Now we'll go ahead and now change the, so x to the half is there, and now the square root, that square root is changing to the 1 on top and 2 in the denominator, so that 1 over 2 is actually the square root, the big square root of x to the half. And then from this point on, you use the power of power law, 1/2 times 1/2, that's the 1/4, you're multiplying them, and that will end up being your final answer. Now, if you want to change that back to the radical, well, that's easy. 4 becomes the root, x is the radicand, and 1 is on top. And that would be the equivalent expression of the x to the power of 1/4.